Welcome to the Business and Bud Show. You know it's time. Start thinking like a winner when you get online. Streaming audio and video to get you primed for a future of success, a life you design. Business and Buds is the online show for people who want to learn about creating a thriving business and a thriving network. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Business and Buds Show. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Business and Buds Show. We've got Kristen Sandu on the line. Mr. Michael Bryant, as always, how are you today, sir?
Things are going good. How are you guys doing today?
Oh, man, doing awesome. We were just chatting a little bit about deals coming when you're not looking for them, but you're prepared because you've been working hard and leveling up your skills. And you were talking about how you've been in entertainment just like I have, and you were doing NBA halftime shows and stuff like that. Why don't you bounce into that and break that down where you were and where you've gone from there?
So essentially, I'm going to put it to you this way. The way it started was I went and I was in America's Got Talent. And I saw, so usually if you look at the beginning of America's Got Talent, it was more of like a singer type of competition versus a variety of acts. So I saw it as an opportunity to go in as a circus performer. You didn't really have too many guys like that doing that stuff at that time. And that gave me the publicity to kind of push me forward into future ventures and stuff like that. So what I did immediately is I contacted the NBA. So I didn't contact directly the league, but I contacted this independent director of entertainment from different NBA teams. And I pretty much said, hey, look, you guys got halftime shows. My style fits with your halftime show. Let me come in, do my 5-minute act, and get my paycheck, right? So I did that for a few years until a bunch of other acts kind of started catching on to what I was doing. And that's when you got that whole wave of performers going on America's Got Talent to get that publicity. And then they started going into NBA. So when I initially went into NBA, the pricing was much higher than it is today. So I was stacking in a lot more money. And now when this new wave of people started coming in as performers, what I did is I converted from a performer to an agent. So it's the same thing I was saying earlier. You know, I had the gold rush, I got all the gold, and I was giving them the shovels so they can scrap out the little remains of what was going on in the industry. And that's how practically the whole entertainment industry has been for me. You know, it's just jumping from industry to industry, you know, like corporate events, have sporting events, you have private events, and then you went into like celebrity events and stuff like that. So that's how it kind of is. You got to be kind of grandfathered in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Dude, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
And that's what. So right now I'm not in the entertainment business because of the whole COVID situation. So what I did, I'm in Boise right now, and I started a logistics business. Same thing, man. Gold rush, you know, final mile is growing. I came to Boise. I figured that, hey, you know what? The city is the fastest growing city right now in America for the past 2 years. I might as well be delivering all the product from the warehouses to consumers' houses until more people come in the market. And when more people come in the market, I'm going to move from a carrier to a broker. Same deal, you know? That's kind of the name of the game, I guess.
Dude, I love that. I love that. So you're kind of figuring out, you know, what's the tip of the spear? How can I get this thing as sharp as possible, and then blade it, right? And then move into handing the spear almost to other people. Once you become an agent, you're opening up the door for other people to get those gigs, and you're still getting a commission off those jobs. I remember there was a lot of companies when I've been a gigging musician with an acoustic guitar for a long time. I did it forever until a couple of years ago, and I took that business digital. But there were all these little companies that if you weren't in with the certain companies, you couldn't get booked at certain bars, especially in like Santa Monica or like San Diego or LA. There were little companies that booked certain bars, and they had a little roster. And if you weren't on the roster, you couldn't get on the gigs. And there were so many of these companies, right?
Yep.
And it was like some of those people liked me, some of them didn't. So some gigs I played across the street a couple times a month, but I was never able to get the gig at the place across the street because I couldn't get access. Like you said, there was a gatekeeper.
Yep.
See?
That's why they say it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Mm-hmm.
For the entertainment business, it's all about connections. It's all about the people that you meet and you network with. That's why I tell people all the time, man, socializing with people is the best thing you can possibly do. I tell my friends all the time. I went to college, right? I didn't learn jack shit in college. I tell people it's the most expensive social experience I ever had. You know, I met a lot of people in college, and that's the way I saw it. People told me to focus on my classes. I didn't care about my classes. I'm a history major. I'm never going to use history as a degree, you know. But I focused on meeting as much people as I possibly could because those people that I met in college now are in executive positions in different companies. You know, some people are working with Amazon, which I got a big contract with Amazon out here in Boise. So
Nice.
it's like,
Congrats.
Awesome.
business, you know. So that's the way to do it. I think so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's awesome that you say that because it's like, well, I was going to say Mike's in that situation now with the whole CBD thing is that he's figured out how to build these CBD brands. And so now he's got all these contacts with all these distributors and all the people that have the packaging and the merchant processors. So he's able to take someone's idea or brand and build the whole thing out because you're like the gatekeeper now, dude.
Exactly.
What were you saying there, Mike? You're chopping in and out there.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the I don't know what the fuck is happening here.
You know what had happened? He's enjoying a joint on a beautiful Thursday. That's a beautiful thing right there as it is. So, Kristen, so you did, and now you're in Boise, and so where do you go from here?
I think Michael can't hear. He's all pissed off. He can't talk.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Now, man. It's like, are you getting the same thing, Todd?
Can you hear me?
It's cutting in and out. This happens to Mike sometimes. He's not as technically savvy as the Patmeister is. But that's why I'm the producer of the show, you know. I can always cut this part out. This is why we record it and we have post-production. So I can always chop this part out. It's no big deal.
One of those plug-in things that you put in your computer as a direct internet cord versus the Wi-Fi cord, you know what I mean?
Yeah, his little office station is like way far back from his house. They have like an acre of land or something in Pennsylvania.
That's crazy. That's good stuff.
Right? Well, but it's all good. So you're doing the logistics thing. We'll wait for him to come back, but I wanted to kind of go with what you were doing there.
Yeah, so I jumped into trucking. You know, so I come from a entertainment background, you know, full-on entertainment background. Parents is in the entertainment field, and people ask me all the time, "What the fuck are you doing in trucking?" And I tell them, dude, I'm just looking for opportunities because that's the way I operate. You know, that's the way my brain kind of works. You know, but I seen the COVID thing. COVID kind of destroyed entertainment completely. You know, and I've seen celebrities that I've worked with decrease their pay by 60% from what they're used to getting just to give that gig to pay those bills, you know? So that made me think that this is not a recession-proof business whatsoever. It's good when you're not in a recession, but when some shit hits the fan, you want to be as far away from entertainment as possible. Look what happened to Live Nation. They're practically going to go fucking bankrupt because of all the losses they've had, you know? So that's Mark Cuban jumping in and bought a shit ton of shares in Live Nation because he knows that he's an entertainment guy. He's going to be able to control that eventually, but it was a good time for him to jump to Live Nation. But anyways, going back to the trucking business, I saw trucking as a good opportunity for final mile. And I'll tell you why. Is because you got all the stores. You got JCPenney, Macy's, Nordstrom, all these huge retail stores, right? That just in general is they're going bankrupt. They're completely going bankrupt. People are not shopping. People don't go and shop at stores anymore. Everything is becoming that online thing, right? That people want things to be instant. They just want the delivery to be quick from warehouse to their house. They don't want to go in the middle of a retail store. So that being said, I see a huge opportunity for final mile deliveries. And that's kind of why I jumped in, man. Especially with Boise, it's the fastest growing city. So once I did some research, I left Vegas in a heartbeat. I came to Boise, started my company, and now I'm running trucking around here. And I have no competition whatsoever right now, which is good. So,
Dude,
Can you
that's
guys hear
awesome.
me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you using? Your phone?
Yeah, I said fuck my computer. Like,
Yeah, just use the phone. It's fine. It's fine. So we were banging on. He's gone from entertainment and made a transition here in Boise, Idaho, to
trucking.
trucking. Well, a lot of different things, really. I mean, you're kind of like the supplier, like you were talking about before. There's a gatekeeper in so many different scenarios, and I've talked to Mike about this and on past episodes too. Being an entertainer, being a bar, like a gigging musician, I knew I needed to meet the gatekeepers in the business and entrepreneur world. If I wanted to take those skills that I had as a producer and as an entertainer and a voiceover on camera persona and figure out new solutions for business owners to get paid, because I knew playing in the corner of the bar wasn't going to last forever. So I'm like, well, who are the gatekeepers? Like you kind of said earlier, the business conferences and all this. So I started targeting the Grant Cardones and the Gary V's and the Ed Milet and the Tim Grovers and the Brad Lees, and making songs and performing on conferences with all these people. And that's how I started to have conversations about how can I monetize my knowledge better with the skill set that I have, but still kind of do entertainment. And they're like, dude, you got to switch digital, because then no matter what happens, if the whole music scene shuts down, you're still getting paid because you're selling service packages to people digitally. You're still necessarily entertaining, but you've adapted. You've kind of switched the scenario to providing a service with your talent as an entrepreneur rather than just making it about Pat the music guy. See, so I mean, that's kind of a lesson too, is I kind of had to find the gatekeepers and be humble enough to ask for the knowledge that I needed to adapt to. And that can be a hard thing, especially for artists. I mean, you're a performer yourself. So accepting that, I got to do 10 different other things rather than just sit around and play guitar all day like a quote unquote rock star. Because if I really want to do this for a living, I have to adapt to how the marketplace, to what the marketplace is demanding rather than what I want to do.
Yep. Yeah, being an entertainer is like being a hustler. You don't get success in the entertainment industry without hustling. And you can look at practically anyone who's made it big. I was just recently actually researching about 50 Cent and kind of his background. You know what I mean? That guy was a pure freaking hustler. That's all he was. Nobody gave him his record deal. Nobody kind of came and patted him on the back. He straight up got on it and he started hustling with that stuff. And that's part of entertainment that a lot of people don't understand. But coming from an entertainer background gives you so much experience and education in business than people think, because that's why you got like so many celebrities that are not just entertainers. They have ventures. They're running businesses. They're investing in stuff. They're doing real estate stuff. You know what I mean?
That's a lot of people that have like alcohol brands or shoe brands. I've noticed that, especially over the years. You look at somebody like Puff Daddy or P. Diddy or whatever the hell he calls himself now. That dude's got so many different ventures. 50 Cent made more money on vitamin water than he ever did rapping. Dr. Dre made way more money on those headphones, the Beats headphones, than he ever did rapping. And he's one of the best hip hop producers ever. I mean, outside of Quincy Jones, he might be the best producer ever, depending on who you ask.
Almost all of the people that like I look up to or am mentored by have had to completely diversify their skill set, especially in the beginning, and basically wear 100 hats because it's just what you have to do. Like, you don't want to have to do it. I want to just run businesses, right? Like, right. I like the everyday operations of managing teams and running companies. That's what I like. However, I also have to go out and find deals to buy myself. I don't like to go do that lead generation work. But by networking with people and individuals and consistently doing things like this, like, I met Kristen because he saw my Instagram post and wanted to build an app. We quoted it out, and then COVID hit, and then it got put on the back burner so that way he could do his trucking and logistics business. It doesn't mean that that's not going to be there, but I want to maintain a relationship with him because, number one, it's fun to watch him as an entrepreneur grow, and we bounce ideas off of each other like an Instagram Messenger. Like we like he gets to see like all of my crazy fucking memes that I post, and like then my kids are sales stats. Like it could be whatever the fuck it is. Like I am so random with what I post for content. It makes me a horrible content creator. That's why I hired you.
Right.
I know that my skill set does not allow me to do that. However, I want to break into this content space, and I know that I need someone that knows this space better than I do.
Well, and I think that goes back to what you said, Kristen, too, is that conversations and relationships are the backbone of any success story. And so what's the easiest way to get on conversations with people and to build relationships with people? And it's using these digital tools and these digital technological advances to create those conversations and to create those relationships and to figure out those golden nuggets and those knowledge bits that we need to adapt and to be successful. And I think that's why I got into podcasting, was that was the way out for me, where I could create content. I could still be a producer and an entertainer, but I could also, like I said, bring value not only to somebody like yourself, but to me as the host, to the audience. And then people watch that stuff and they're like, oh, wow, I'm really getting something out of this.
Yeah.
I need some videos, or I need a custom theme song, or I need this, or I need Mike's CBD, or I need Kristen's this or that or the other thing. And everybody wins.
Of course, you got to look, I look at COVID as a big reset button, Like when people come to me and tell me, damn, I had a heart, like COVID was a bad thing. Dude, I fucking, like, not to be a selfish prick, but fucking COVID was great for me, man. I made more money in COVID than I've ever done in the normal economy,
Right.
100%.
I took advantage of it. When COVID hit in China, I started short selling the fucking market in February,
Well, hold on. Can I give a perfect example of COVID right now in the way that like I'm using COVID? And it's not just me. This is Dan Pena. I watch his content. This comes from him, not from anyone else. But I literally placed an offer today on a business that's owned by a 60-year-old Marine, has $500,000 a year in revenue, $400,000 in equipment, and is profitable, but like they have an e-com store and he's a 60-year-old Marine. He doesn't fucking know shit about e-com. So I look at this and I'm like, there's two plays that I have to grow this revenue really quickly. One, I can sell to my existing customer base and make my own apparel for my brands, and that will increase revenue there. Two, I have all these other brands that I work with and manufacturer relationships that have relationships with hundreds of brands. I can grow this and say, okay, I'm going to do on-demand print work for B2B on top of having their own sales site that they don't know how to really manage all that well. I offered them $1. I offered them $1 and 30% of profit, which I control the profit now on how much I'm investing. And I will give them $500,000 for the business in total. And I get all the machinery and everything. And I'm waiting on the response back, but their partners seemed very excited about it. Oh, and I get their cash balances in their accounts, and they have $187,000 in there.
I like it.
Smart. That's fucking genius.
But I'm like, hey, my skill set is far greater than yours. You let me take over and use your operating capital the way that it should actually be fucking used, and I'll pay you out for your shit. You don't have to worry about going bankrupt, and I get a cash flowing asset. Yep.
That's a thing that's stopping, like the reason companies fail is not product, is not the way they operate, is management.
Yep.
They're not aggressive enough to keep their business running. And it's a hard thing to say when I talk to people who are like, they tell me all the time, well, I'm failing at my business. I tell them that's because you're fucking weak. That's why.
Hmm.
That's all you are. You don't know how to manage your own business. You don't know how to control your own people. And in business, there's no pleasing. You got to be, people either like you or they hate you, but there's no in the middle. There's no in between, you know?
Correct.
And they don't get that.
I'll give you another example that happened today. I have a guy that I've worked with for the past 8-9 months or whatever. He was done his previous contract with us. We made him sign a new contract, and then he decided to cancel, right? So I sent him his final invoice. He was like, I'm not paying this. Basically, like, this is ridiculous. There's a discrepancy here, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, look, dude, like, you're going to fucking pay it, or like, I'm going to come after you, like, legally. Like, I don't even have like another step. Like, if you tell me you're not paying it, I don't like message you again. Like, and I'm like, please pay your invoice. I fucking call Owen, and Owen's like, hey, motherfucker, you signed this contract and you're going to pay. Or you're going to come to our court and all of it is on your fucking dime and you still fucking pay. So
that was my
there is
favorite
no
part of the
fucking
conversation.
in between. So people will say one of two things about this clip that comes here. Either I'm an asshole for, enforcing and enacting a contract, or the smart business person is going to say, you're a fucking savage and you do what is required every time, no matter what. I choose, I don't care if I'm liked by most people or anyone. Like, everyone can give this video a thumbs down and I will laugh my way to the bank. I don't give a fuck about any of that. And that's what either is going to make me a terrible fucking person to have on the internet, or a person that people actually fuck with.
Right.
Because, like, I'm going to be myself 100% through and through. And, like, if I sign a deal with someone, just like you earlier, like, I told you flat out, like, hey, this is going to be the price. It's going to be this long. And, like, you are required to pay this amount of money. Like, that is what will happen. If I have to take your business or your house, I will.
Oh, yeah. It's old school style.
Like, I would take it over in a hostile takeover. I don't care.
That's the way it should be. That's business, though. That's the way business. It's money. You know what I mean? Money is a whole different. It's like it's in a parallel universe of the way we're living when you're talking about business.
Right.
But it's the way it should be. You know what I mean?
People just don't understand. Like, whenever I say that you want to network and have conversations and relationships with people, it means that, like, if you say that you're going to do something, you fucking do what you say you're going to do. Yep. Like, it's pretty fucking plain and simple. Like, you just fucking get that shit done. And I think that's why, like, I fuck with you a ton, because, like, you just, like, uprooted and saw a lane that you probably weren't super familiar with, and you just attacked it. And I did the exact same thing. Like, I'm buying an apparel company that I know nothing about. However, I do know that, like, my father-in-law owned an apparel company for a very long time. I can literally give him founder's equity and have him go through and be like, hey, this is what you need to do, because he sold that business off.
Exactly.
So, like, management and leadership is the core of everything. And then it all stems down from that. Like, that is your spine. And people just have to understand that, like, it's not personal. Like, I still would go to a barbecue with this guy and, like, be nice and have a nice communication,
but he needs to pay his bill.
I still would be, like, happy to, like, talk to him about his kids, whatever, no big deal.
After he pays the bill.
No, even before that.
Well,
like,
right.
I'm a bigger person than that. I can separate the two.
Right.
Most
I know,
people can't separate the two. Like, there are legalities and then there are still friendships. Granted, like, some business relationships or friendships can go south and then, like, it's done. Like, it ruined everything. That happens. But, like, I believe that you can separate the two things between, like, hey, this is something that, like, we agreed to as humans, and also it's in fucking writing. So, like, we agreed to this and this is what will happen.
You know what pisses me off, dude, is that when you had back in the day, you know what a contract consisted of? It was a handshake, dude. Now you got so many fucking pussies nowadays, dude, that you need to write paperwork and you need lawyers and you need all that shit because people can't, shake a hand and keep their word anymore.
Well, as a service provider, I have to have those contracts because of that. As a service buyer, I don't necessarily need to have that agreement. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just weird. Like, if Pat and I decided that we were going to stop this show, I would pay him for whatever shows he had produced, and that's it. Like, it's done. But like, we're not stopping this show. It's not going to stop. We're going to keep moving forward. And like, what will happen in the future is whenever we bring on guests, I'm sure that there are a lot of people between the 3 different skill sets that are here that have questions that would love to ask them like in real time. So we're going to have a group where this episode is released 8 weeks after the other one is. Like, you can't get this episode for 8 weeks on YouTube or anywhere else except for being in this private group. And then you also get the ability to ask questions to you one-on-one. Like, what were your first steps, for instance, starting your trucking company? Like, I already know the answer. Like, you got an LLC, you got a business checking account, you filed whatever state paperwork that you had to file, and then it was done. But like, most people don't even know that you need to do those steps.
Yep.
So,
you know what's a good question, man? It's like, I think about this from an entertainment, aspect of it. So you had the radio, right? And then the question was like, what comes after the radio? Then you had podcast, right? I was
at the TV.
Well, the TV, but you know what I mean? Like, you had the conversation, like the Howard Stern type of radio when he had guests, and then you have the Joe Rogan who kind of publicized podcast to a massive level. I'm always wondering what comes after podcast. What's the next thing? You know what I mean? What's the next way to stream stuff like this? Because now it's like the podcast, everyone kind of is doing a podcast.
I think it's virtual communities.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about, and that's what I've been launching for people is virtual communities where it's more personal, where the people that are interested in your brand join a private group where they can talk to you before we even record the episode. People are able to pick your brain and get a relationship built with you because they've invested in themselves. So they're getting that one-on-one introduction. They're using the gatekeepers to get the access before anybody else would. Other people would just listen to the show. Maybe they like the show, but if they're invested in themselves, they got to pick the brain of the influencer or the entrepreneur before that show was ever released. That gives them a 2-month edge and private one-on-one time with somebody because they're a part of a virtual community that is enhancing their skill set. So I think that that's the next level of just doing a stream or doing a show is having a group of people that's like almost a digital mastermind that get to ask questions and be a part of a movement, a Business and Bud style movement. Mm-hmm. And then we also record the show. Once people are done asking all those questions, we go back and kind of review it for the show. So I think that's what our concept is with this show is we want to build a community of like-minded thinkers and entrepreneurs and all these different types of people that want to get better, that want to build businesses and want to build relationships. And there's also a show. So there's something for free for people, but there's also a community of people that want to level up.
It's educational and it's entertaining.
Well, I look at the community in the sense of the word of like a community, right? So let's say that you want to move to a upscale penthouse in New York, right? Whatever, doesn't matter. There's a doorman. There's a gatekeeper. That gatekeeper allows you to keep the same level of thinkers and the people that are achievers around you. So one of the things that I find to be the thing that every entrepreneur in the world says all at the same time is the 5 people that you surround yourself, you become. So if you're able to basically build, most people spend a lot of their time online. If you don't live in a great neighborhood or whatever it is, or you're not happy with where you are, you can have a virtual community where you you build walls around yourself. You can insulate yourself with people that are doing what you want to do, or you're building yourself with a network of people that are also achievers and like-minded. So to me, that's worth the money all day, because who doesn't want to be around other people that are doing well, that also make you feel good? Like, some people look at it as like showing off or whatever it may be, but like, and some people just show off for Instagram, but like, I would rather be around people that are buying businesses and talking about investment options and shit like that, and surrounding myself with those people. So that way, I grew up in a trailer. Like, I want my kids to never have to know what that was like. Maybe they should, because they would be as hungry as I am. I don't know. That social experiment hasn't played out yet. But like, it's just, it's what you want in your life. Like, what do you want to be surrounded with the most? And that's why I think all these masterminds work, is because that content that they're producing, it's reinforcing these positive structures in your brain.
Yep. And having like direct answers. You know what I was thinking of like the other day? So you know how you have Reddit? And usually, let's say when I moved to Boise, I looked on Reddit, like, what's it like to live in Boise? What are the pros and cons of living in Boise? I mean, you got a bunch of shitheads messaging about different stuff, you know what I mean? What I would have appreciated if I had a direct link, for example, like Pat and you, right? I'd be like, hey, you tell me, like, if I would have jumped on a platform and been able to ask my question from a resident who lived in Boise for a very long time, who would give me information directly on a one-on-one conversation. How are the people? How are the politics? How is that? You know what I mean? Versus you don't have to kind of research and read and fucking look for keywords, and maybe you want to find out what's the air quality like, and you can't find that. You have to go and look at like some type of environmental shit. Versus having a conversation on a one-on-one, make like a virtual Reddit to where instead of people posting in forums, they can talk in forums. You know what I mean? That way you can get direct answers in any question. Like, for example, when I first started my logistics business, I was looking up like, how to start my DOT, or how to be compliant with FMCSA, right? Which is they regulate the whole highway system. I had to research that shit. I had to go on Reddit. I had to look at the website, government website, versus me just jumping on some type of forum and being like, hey, here's $5, here's $20 fucking dollars. Tell me step A to step Z, you know what I mean? But that wasn't the case. So I had to do a bunch of research, a lot of time wasted. And especially what a lot of people don't realize is that research is a skill that you have to acquire over time. You can't just jump on Google and research shit thinking you're going to get an answer. It's a skill. You have to be able to understand what juicy information you need to take and what information to filter out. Versus when you have a one-on-one conversation with someone, you ask a question, you get a direct answer. And that's like the future of Reddit should look like, especially for modern day people, because people are not as literate as they used to be, and they can't read and they can't comprehend words on a paper as well as they did back in the day. Now it's more of a conversation thing. So I think whoever is going to come up with the thing of Reddit is going to make a shit ton of money, and it's probably going to change the whole forum system on the internet.
Well, there you go. You guys just got a huge gold nugget from somebody right there.
Yeah.
Where's the golden nugget button? Who is this
brain's
producer?
already like turning on how to like build a platform that just creates independent virtual communities.
That's what I think. It's like, and then you can get there's a lot of, man, it's just like, it's all about summarizing that stuff. You know what I mean? You can get notifications if you're connected to the community. So for example, like by utilizing keywords, like let's say a CBD question has been asked, you get a notification on your phone and you have the option to jump in that live chat for a brief 20, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and kind of put your idea, answer your question, and jump back out. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. So there's a couple things that are similar to what you're saying, similar-ish. Discord is one of them. And then, like you said, Reddit-ish, but it's bloggy. I don't like the blogginess. We're going to be using a system called True Metric, where you can send text notifications and email notifications to people when there's new audio or when there's a new live Zoom call. It's all integrated into the platform and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, like you're saying, you're almost saying combining all of that with like a social media platform almost.
Exactly. Because the biggest thing is like you have an idea in your head, right? And people like, so I'm a history major, so I've done my fair, my fair share of writing and researching and stuff. I've written like hundreds of page papers. So I know personally, because I've been educated for 4 years, how to take an idea or how to take I don't know, a theory or whatever, a research on a subject and put it into a paper to where anyone can understand. But the majority of the public who doesn't have experience in putting their ideas in their head on paper, they don't know how to do that. So any majority of people, when they have an idea, they don't know how to write it down. It's very easier for them to communicate it via like vocal means versus writing that shit down. So that's why, when you have something to where you can be able to express everything via your voice, it'll make practically everything easier. You won't have to spend as much time to deal with grammar and all that stuff and sentence structuring, and you'll be able to push your message across faster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, that's savage.
Like I've jumped on a few conference calls with with different people. I know I don't know, you probably know Matthew Morgan, the cannabis guy. He's doing similar stuff like Zoom calls once a week. I've jumped in a few conversations with that. And my big question was, how do I get in cannabis logistics, right? Because I know that federally it's going to be legalized eventually. And that's when I'm going to be able to cross the border lines with cannabis, trucks full of cannabis. You know what I mean? Taking cannabis from California, Washington State, where you can practically grow it year around, to Vermont, to New Hampshire, to Massachusetts, where you're kind of limited unless you're doing indoor growth,
I have an idea on how you do it.
How do I do it?
You would go to your state senator,
Mm-hmm.
and then you would try to pitch your business as part of a bill. So whenever they federally make it, it would get thrown into that bill, and then you would have a government contract.
But government won't move weed.
But they would if they legalize it, because they're going to tax it.
That's true too. They make a shit ton of money like that too.
So I would offer up on your proposal that you would offer up a certain percentage of tax.
Mm-hmm. Just to see, I'm trying to figure out what kind of vehicles I need, because there's different vehicles for different things. You can't just put a bunch of weed in a buck truck and move it, because you're probably going to get stopped by, by a Mexican border. You're going to be, you're going to take all your shit out of your truck.
Yeah.
So what kind of security are you utilizing? What kind of vehicles are you doing to transport? What kind of background does your people need to have? Does it have to be military logistics for them to transport, or can it be some regular guy with a CDL?
No, I think it would be the situation where a guy with a CDL could do it, and then you would probably have how pharmaceutical companies do a double lockbox thing, so that way you have to have two sets of keys basically to open the boxes.
Gotcha. Just to go in, just to be able to snatch that medicine out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
but
that's probably I don't know the whole logistical part of it, but that would be a good start.
Pass a bill, damn dude. If I start passing bills here, that's a game changer over there.
No, you need to start whining and dining some government people, and then basically, all right. So I'm not telling you, Owen would tell me that I should not say this. You have to get creative, and maybe they form a shell company that is an investor into your company, and that's why they pass the bill. I don't fucking know. I'm just throwing out hypotheticals here, but
that's a way, dude. See, that's what I like about this country. You can make dreams happen. There's a lot of ways to do that, So, and lobbying is a beautiful thing in this country. If you're really have an idea where,
Who says a state senator's wife or husband shouldn't have part of the largest cannabis logistics company? Who says that?
Exactly. That's a loophole in the system. There's a lot of them. You know what? Who was it? I don't remember if he was either Carnegie or Vindelberg. Carnegie was the steel guy, and Vindelberg was the railroad guy, if I'm not mistaken, or the opposite, something like that. But one of them said that in order to be wealthy in this country, you have to find all the loopholes. So
yeah,
I had a good point, because there's loopholes in taxes, there's loopholes in everything in this country. So.
Well, I think a lot of people, whenever they're just getting started in business, are thinking so much about the everyday, today task that they whenever an opportunity like what you're describing comes up, and you better jump on this because you have 8 weeks until this podcast is released. So you better fucking start whining and dining some senators right fucking now.
Whining and dining.
Or
Call
mayors,
Hunter.
whatever the
Hunter
fuck,
will hang out with you.
whatever the fucking thing you have to do to start. Like, I would start with that, and I would find an attorney and say, hey, how do I basically get around not bribing these people, but incentivizing them in a manner that is appropriate to where, like, I'm not going to go to jail, but they can benefit from the upside.
Gotcha. So essentially still bribing them, just in a legal way.
Hey, call it what you want.
That's true. As long as you know what I mean?
I call it creative equity structure.
Yep, that's a good way to put it. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking, man. Because once the federal ban is lifted, you're gonna see a massive movement of cannabis across this whole country. You know, it's gonna be a whole new, like, hemp. Hemp is growing for multiple uses now, and there's gonna be just massive transportation going back and forth from the west and the east. You know, so I think whoever's gonna jump on that wagon, very good. It's another gold rush into the cannabis industry. Because right now, everything's kind of been like, you know, like growth and retail.
Mm-hmm.
Logistics is kind of limited. You can't really cross the borderline because of the federal issues right now. There's some ways, I think, some loopholes with Native Americans. Apparently, they're not held to that law, but I don't know how true that is. You know, with the Native Americans.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's something I've heard, but they're not really regulated the way we are. You know, they're kind of in their own different world.
I think that the Amish are the same way too.
Are they?
I think that they have, like, and I could be wrong, but, like, someone fact check us in the comments. But I don't think that Amish people have to pay taxes.
Huh. They build pretty good, dude. You ever seen Amish people build a house?
My dad uses them with his company. Yeah, they're fucking crazy.
They build most of the trailers, that, like the travel trailers that people utilize. And I think are mostly built by Amish people.
Do you have a lot of Amish in Idaho?
I haven't seen any, but like I've always kind of been a fan of our community dudes because they're just like, they're tight, you know. They're like, they make butter and all that stuff. It's pretty cool.
I'm pretty sure that one of their main businesses too is puppy mills.
Puppy what?
Puppy mills.
Oh yeah, very good, dude. Very interesting people though. Like I've met a few of them on plane rides before, and just kind of picking at their brain. They're very reserved, you know. They don't really like to talk too much about their community. But
Yeah.
they always told me, if you want to learn about our community, come live with us. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about that. You know, I've seen too many fucking movies to where you go to Amish community, you never make it out of it. So.
Bro,
Living in an Amish paradise.
dude, if you go just a little bit north of me, you'll, like, be driving, and then you'll just come upon, like, a dude in a blue shirt on a horse and buggy, and you're like, where the fuck did you come from? Like, they're all over up north.
Dude, they still utilize wagons and shit, like the commercial wagons. That's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
So I feel like we should move back to that. That's a new renewable way of, like, having transportation.
I would kill myself.
Yeah, dude, it's slow. My grandpa used to have one of those.
I don't belong. Like, I need technology. I am a technology person.
Yep.
So
about technology, man, so this is another business thing. Stick to what you know, because wasting your time on something else can really be painful. For example, I had so much invoicing to do yesterday that I haven't done, and I'm going to get it done today, simply because I decided to go to Best Buy and buy a bunch of components to build my own desktop, and it literally took me the whole day to build a freaking desktop, to where I spoke with some of my friends and said, dude, that should have taken you 45 minutes. So just stick to what you know, man. So,
yeah, I mean, that time is worth something.
It is, yeah, because essentially, man, so I like to tell people that you pay your time to get money, and you pay your money to get your freedom, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? So every minute wasted can be $1 made, but people don't really like to look at it that way. That's why I don't get when people are comfortable, man, with a regular 9 to 5. Like, damn, dude, like you're not squeezing the most out of it. You know, you can be making so much more money with that time if you just put your God-given brain for some creativity. You know?
So there are some people like you and myself that think in that capacity, and then there are other people, and Pat as well. But there are other people that my wife is a perfect example. Like she loves her 9 to 5 because then she's home with the kids. I mean, she makes great fucking money, and she gets to feel like she has a purpose more than like herself. You know what I mean? And so she doesn't have to work, but she's happy to work, and it's something that like makes her feel good about herself. So, but like, I get that sort of thing, but like if you
what she likes, though.
yeah,
Right?
correct,
Exactly.
and she enjoys what she's doing, and the company that she works for like tremendously, and they've been phenomenal to her. So it's like I need my employees just as you need your employees too. Like everyone also needs like to have the thing that they enjoy. But like if you have it like in your DNA that like you're meant to do this sort of thing, then like yeah, you have to continuously keep growing. Like it's just something that you have to do.
See, you're right about the DNA part, man. Because every time I try to like motivate someone or kind of tell them how to run a business or how to go out on their own and start something, is if they can't it's like as if I'm speaking a different language to them. You know, they can't do it. They just can't.
Dude, people either want it or they don't. That's something I've noticed. And that's where you go with this virtual community thing we've been talking about here.
Yeah.
People who have some skin in the game that want to get better, that are willing to invest in themselves, those people are going to make it.
Yep.
So if we can cater to those people and give them some extra value, they're going to get results. But just listening to podcasts for free, I mean, again, anybody can do that. I can listen to Eddie Van Halen's guitar riffs all day. But if I'm not practicing, I'm never going to get that good.
Well,
I've tried to get into Dan Pena's course, right? But then COVID fucked the whole thing up. It's like $25,000 to get in. And I've tried to get in several times, but there's so many people that are competing for that same spot. And I'm never like, I'm not in time. Like I miss it because I'm doing other stuff and I'm watching that stuff on replay. Like, but I can tell you if I invest $25,000 into it, like I'm going to pay attention. I get to go meet them in person. I get to go do whatever. Like that experience in having that mentorship, even for 7 days, is worth $25,000. Like that dude has created. I think it's. I could be wrong. He was called the $50 billion man before, but now he's called the $1 trillion man. But I think he's created more than $1 trillion in wealth for like his entrepreneurs.
So you're talking about meeting him in person, right? Like
correct,
one-on-one conversation.
Yes.
See,
he doesn't have like a virtual community sort of thing. However, if you're a part of the virtual community, once COVID lifts and we know that everyone can travel and do whatever, like we know not everyone's going to feel the same way. Like I will travel and meet all these people and shake their hands and go home. I don't care.
Yep.
Like that's going to be really bad. People are going to be like, oh, that's so selfish. But like, let's look at the mortality rate for a second. Like, is it?
No, yeah. You know what? Like, I don't mean to take a shit on this guy's like, what's his fucking name? Like Gary Vee and Tony Robbins. But I'm going to put it this way, dude. I think motivational speaking is the biggest scam in psychology history. Because you get that quick pump, right? That quick, like, fuck it, let's do it pump. You know what I mean? When you go and you listen to Gary Vee speak or you listen to Tony Robbins, you get 5, maybe it lasts 24 hours of that pump. You wake up at 6 a.m. and then it dies off. It's because that's a psychology twitch right there, man. But they utilize that for profits. And people don't understand that. Is that going and paying that money to listen to one of those talk, if you're an entrepreneur yourself, if you already wake up at 5 a.m., if you already, you're just
I'm not that guy.
You know, but you know what I mean? It's like this people go there, and I see people all the time. They go to places like that. They post it on social media. They go to some massive conference, and then I'm excited to be here. life-changing experience, and then fucking 2 days later they're doing the same shit they were doing before. It's because they got that 5 minutes of motivation, and that's it.
But
And
hold
that's
on.
what I liked about being on those. I would have never even been at those events if I wasn't performing. The
Yep.
whole reason why I wanted to be at those events was so I could be backstage, pick people's brains. Other than that, I'd never go to those things unless I'm the MC or I'm the live musician, or I don't go.
I've never been to a conference ever. Like, oh, that's not true. I've been to like cannabis conferences where it's like all brands, but I've never been to like a motivational conference or like a speaker conference. Number one, I don't have the attention span to sit there for fucking 8 hours and listen to other people tell me the same story that they tell on social media that I can consume on my phone in 2 minutes. So it's like, I don't know. Like, it's tough for me to... I will probably do some of those speeches if asked, because I believe that like a virtual community that we're building is actually going to help people in the long term, because just being able to maintain that sort of rhythm with people and stay on the same vibration with those individuals, like it matters. Like energy is a like, I'm not like some fruity fucking energy person, but like energy is like a real thing. It's contagious. Like you ever walk into a room and someone's like real down in the dumps, and then you're like, oh fuck, like what's wrong? And then you have to hear this story that you don't give a fuck about, and then it just puts you in a worse mood. Versus you walk into a room and someone shoots you with a fucking Nerf gun in the chest, and you're like, oh, like it positive, good energy. Like it's a different thing. It's contagious, both good and bad.
That's true. I think that this coaching is good, man. I love coaching. I've had coaches in my life. I've had mentors in my life, and I think that coaching should be based on a one-on-one basis, based on what experience that individual had in their life. You know what I mean? But if you're gonna go and give the same speech to people that had different experience, that maybe they relate and maybe they don't relate to what the shit you've been through, you know what I mean? It doesn't really, you might give them that quick motivation because you're probably quoting some old philosophers that you stole from some books you read. None of it, you know what I mean? None of the shit that the speaker says is their own creative words. They stole that shit from either Plato or Aristotle. They stole that shit from someone. And then they take their own little ways. They give that 5 minutes of motivation to people. And then people go home thinking they got something, and then a week later they're back in their own routine. Versus having a coach is kind of having like a therapist. All right, what's your issue? Where are you making your mistakes? What experience is making you make that mistake? You know what I mean? So let's address those and let's fix those. Versus just having 2,000 people in a group and motivating with punk ass music, and then let's you got Tony Robbins coming down the aisle and grabbing some people by the head and fucking yelling at them and as if they're gonna motivate them. It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean?
We're gonna cap our first group. I don't know what the exact number is, but we're gonna end up capping it because number one, I want to make sure that like the right individuals are in the group. Like you have to get vetted to come into the group. Yep. And that's going to be with like a one-on-one call. And if, your actions don't match that, like I will boot you.
Yeah, it's like a fraternity. There's a process of initiation. You have to pass all their qualification to be part.
Yeah, you got to take a couple beat downs.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You got to make it through pledge week.
Yeah.
Are you gonna be the marshal? You're gonna deal with all the newcomers, use them out, eliminate all the weak ones.
It's a beautiful thing. Well, if you could give people advice on the way out, what's one thing people can do right now, today, in this moment, to get ahead?
You know what they can do, in my opinion? They can go for existing industries that got eliminated by COVID. That's what I would do. Those coffee shops that got shut down because COVID took a big burden on them and they went bankrupt, now is the time to buy that coffee shop and do it all over again. Those companies that couldn't afford to run during COVID, now is the time to go and buy those companies. I don't think it's a time to start something new. I think it's a time to jump in something that already existed that got hurt really badly by COVID.
That's exactly.
I love that, man.
That's exactly the strategy.
I love that, man. Well, ladies and gentlemen, go follow our boy. Make sure to hit up Mr. Michael Bryant. Follow the page at Business and Buds.
Oh,
We'll
like
see you
the
all
fucking
next
video.
time.
Like
Yeah,
this-
well, yeah, like the video, subscribe, hit the notification, hit all of that. You guys know what to do. I put all the fancy graphics on the screen for the kids, for the YouTube kids. So love you all. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks, Kristen, for being here, brother. We appreciate you.
Thanks.
For having me, guys.
Boom.